Hello. This video is about one verse in particular. It does go along with the chapter, but it's a well-known chapter, and so I don't feel that I have to go through the entire chapter in order to zero in on this one particular verse. And that verse is found in Psalm 23, verse 4, where it says, "Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for your rod and your staff, they comfort me." And this particular video is a teaching on the rod because there are other pieces of teaching that could go along with this verse. And in times past, when I have heard people speak about this, they often speak about discipline. And it's true when you do look up that word in the Hebrew, the word rod, it could mean discipline, like to discipline somebody. But never have I ever in my entire life felt comfort when I was disciplined. It was more uncomfort that I felt, or an uncomfortableness, if we want to say it that way. So I really, that verse bothered me, and it bothered me for the longest time because I thought, how can people be comforted? In comfort, there's care and there's compassion, and um, people offer a shoulder to cry on, or they give hugs, or they just stay and are company with you. They don't even have to do anything. They just have to be there. They don't have to say anything. And so when I think of comfort, I don't think of a rod of discipline. And so I decided, and I have been studying this word for a while. I studied it before in different verses for other topics that I was teaching about. And in my first book, I did speak of a palanquin. And a palanquin is a type of way that people traveled from place to place, but it was the person of importance who was being carried, and they were carried on material that was attached to two rods, and four or six people would carry that person of importance when they needed to travel. And when they traveled from place to place, this particular fashion of traveling was it. And that particular uh, setting is called a palanquin. And it talks a few times in the Bible about palanquins. And one thing that I have discovered is that this has great importance in the Bible. Now, I don't have time to teach about the palanquin, but I want to teach about the rod. When it says, "Your rod and your staff comfort me," if you look up the word rod in the Hebrew, it does mean discipline, but it also means the rod of the palanquin. That means, from what God is showing me, is that he re, he being the person of importance that is carried and brought into cities when he we usher in the presence of the Lord, when he comes bearing gifts to exchange with us the sorrow, and he gives us gladness. So when people traveled in caravans and the person of prominence was on the palanquin, they were going to cities and going to villages and towns with the purpose of trading, buying and selling. And God does that. He comes, he brings his presence to us so that we can exchange the things that we need to exchange. And of course, we always get something that's of better value, and he gets stuff that's lesser value from us. But what you have to consider is that God so wants to comfort us in the times that are dry, because the palanquin was often used in hot climates, climates where the temperature was high and the sun was, like it was hot. And so they would have a covering over the palanquin, and sometimes it would be enclosed, and it served as a protection. It served as a covering. And so what this verse is telling us is that God will remove himself from the place of the palanquin, the place of prominence, so that we have a place and we have a covering. And of course, that doesn't mean God loses his importance or loses his title. What it's telling us is that we have a place. He shares his place with us. That's why it says in the Bible and other places that we will be seated with him in heavenly places. That Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father because there's room for everybody to sit under the shadow and under the covering of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And we can see this great exchange as well in the fact that Jesus left heaven, he left his seat of prominence to come to the earth, die, rise again to bring salvation so that we can have a seat in heaven, so that we can have a place in heaven. So again, what this verse is reiterating is the fact that when things are not easy, when things are hard, when things are dry, when things are just not going the way we want to, when we're in transition from one place to another, when we're waiting on the Lord, when we feel like there is barrenness, when we feel like there is a dryness to our spirit and even to our life in general, it is then that God will remove himself from the place of prominence, from the palanquin, and he will let you sit there. And if you look up another, if you move through, sorry, the other definitions of the word rod, it also talks about a bed because you can lay down on a palanquin or lay down in one, and it gives you a chance to rest from carrying the things that you have been carrying, even if it's the anointing, even if it's your ministry. It gives you a rest and it gives you a place that is shaded. And I just want to encourage those people who feel like they're in that place that God is your covering, God is your comfort. He will allow you to take rest and He will lead you and He will carry you through those places that are dry, and he takes you, if we look in the verses prior to that, he will take you and he will lie you in green pastures, and he will take you beside still waters. He gives that peace, he gives that rest, and he takes you to a place where you can be fed and where you can heal. And so, again, I just want to encourage you that the rod on the palanquin is what they're talking about in Psalm 23:4. The place where God can keep you, protect you, uphold you, give you rest and give you peace and give you a covering from the things that are surrounding you in your life that are causing anxiety and causing you to feel like you can't continue. So I bless you with that.